Welcome to Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth. Gary Helt is excited to bring you another powerful conversation to help you grow and protect your business and finances. Today's episode is hosted by a special guest, personally selected by Gary, so you can keep learning and moving forward even when Gary is off the mic. Settle in and enjoy today's insights.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth. I'm your host, Barry Goldwater, filling in for Gary Helt. Today, I am so proud and honored to have Lisa Cukier join us today. She is a distinguished partner at Rubin Rudman, one of Boston's most venerable law firms. Her reputation is as a high conflict family, trust, and estate attorney. Welcome, Lisa. I'm so
Thank you
glad
for
to
having
have
me.
you.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
Listen, I'm going to start just by reading what your firm says about you, because I thought it was quite commanding. And
Oh,
this is
thank
what
you.
Rubin Rudman say about you. Few attorneys command the intersection of matrimonial law, trust and estate litigation, service as a trustee and conservator, trust and estate planning, and private client strategy with the insight, creativity, authority, and discretion that Lisa brings to her work. Obviously, you wear a lot of hats in your profession, Lisa. Which one is most comforting to you?
That's a great question. Thank you. There's not one. What's most comforting to me in all of these practice areas is my ability to sort of intuit what a client needs and what the client matter needs and what the family needs. And so there's a thread that binds all of these practice areas. I'm a family strategist, and I can think in a matrix of ways with action and reaction. And so I'm able to take in and absorb what's going on in a family situation, whether it's a marital situation, a custody situation, a trust situation, estates, an undue influence, guardianship, conservatorship, whether it's mental health law or diminishing capacity due to Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or another illness. And I'm able to identify what I'm seeing, experiencing, feeling, and identifying when I meet with other people. And so, no matter what the practice area is, I'm able to absorb what I'm experiencing and make a plan to make things better. No matter what the issue is, whether it's divorce law, whether it's family trust litigation, or simply serving as a trustee for somebody, my job is to make life better than it is when somebody comes to me. And that's the common thread. I'm able to identify it, map it out, plot it out, and choose a direction and have the client come with me in the direction that will help.
Well, you just led into the fourth question that I had to ask you. So I'd like to just rewind a little bit and go back to the first couple of questions, which really start at the beginning. When did you know you wanted to be an attorney? And was it something that happened in your family that needed some straightening out, and becoming an attorney would address that?
I didn't know I wanted to be a lawyer until one of my college professors said to me, "Don't be a social worker." I was convinced I'd be a social worker. She said, "Don't do it." She said, "We need you as a lawyer instead. You
Good
need,
advice. Good
yeah." And I
advice.
and I thought law. I had never thought of law. My plan was to be an art therapist, and law, like no. And she said, "Just study for the LSAT. Take the LSAT, and let me know how you do." And so I took the LSAT. I did fine. I applied to law school. I got accepted. I went. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. And it opened up my eyes. And so it wasn't till I was about 20 or 21 that I ever even considered law school. It was never on my radar, ever, ever as a kid. I was going to be an art therapist. That was it. And I quickly shifted and became a lawyer.
How amazing. It's amazing how we wind up in the places we wind up, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you graduated from law school, who gave you your first job?
I was working during law school. I worked both as a social worker, because I had studied social work, human services, and political science. So I was working anyway in law school. And in addition to working as a social worker, I was working at a small personal injury firm. I didn't love the firm, but they offered me an office when I graduated. And they said, you can stay with us. We can only give you like 20 hours a week, part-time work, but you can stay and you can start your own practice. So I had an office, I had secretarial support, I had a conference room, supplies, equipment, and I started a practice. I'm not a business person. I'm a marketer. I am definitely a marketer, but I'm not really about business. And so I didn't love the business of law. And that's fine because I got headhunted right away by the Department of Mental Retardation, is what it used to be called back then. I'm dating myself. It's now DDS, Department of Developmental Services. But I got headhunted right away because I was handling guardianships on my own, got headhunted right away, and that set the future. We tag team. We talk about problem solving. We conference. I do, doctors do rounds. I do case conferences every single week with every single lawyer who works on any one of my client matters. We case conference every week on a specific day and time. And we also speak as things come up, so I'm always on call for anyone on the team. And we talk about the cases whenever something comes up. But at least once a week, we are case conferencing about this work. And so it lifts by not isolating and by sharing the case, it lifts the burden of content and allows us to be what I call electricians. The lights are out for this family. How do we get the lights? How do we restore the lights? How do we get this back on? How do we get people functioning in a way that brings them comfort, joy, happiness, less pain, manageability? And so that's what we do. But I wouldn't ever do it alone. I would never be a solo practitioner with this depth and dimension of discord for my clients, because you can't help but experience it as vicarious trauma. And so you've got to have, if you're a compassionate person, you're going to experience this too. You're going to feel empathy, and then it hurts. So you need to have people on your team to work with on these matters. And ultimately, the lawyers on the team tend to bill at lower rates than mine so that I can come into a case and out, in and out. And the other individual is working on the pleadings, the drafting. I'm dealing with client content and client conversation. And so we tag team, and it works beautifully.
What an amazing answer, Lisa. There was so much in that answer. First of all, the relationship that you seem to have with the other attorneys at Rubin is really close. You seem to really pay attention to each other. And the example that I have is about 20 years ago, when I was working closely with CPAs. There was a CPA firm that had embedded itself inside of a very good size attorney firm. And they were the estate planners of this attorney firm. And like yours, there were probably 100 attorneys in the firm. And I thought from the outside, what an amazing situation this would be, because you would get the referrals from 97 other people that you worked with. But that wasn't the case. The case for this firm, they only really got 3 referrals of a firm of 100 attorneys. Only 3 of them referred, and one of them was the managing partner, which pretty much kept them, I would say, situated inside the firm. But your firm, you sound like there's a whole bunch of talent that you can go to at any particular time. Does most of your work come from the other attorneys inside of Rubin Rudman?
No, it comes from people on the outside. I bring it in.
So how do you prospect? What is
Yeah.
your method? Is it more social prospecting, going to high, high visible events, going to charity events, places where there would be substantial people?
Yeah, it's a lot of all of that. So I have podcasts like this with frequency. I get quoted in media sometimes. I write legal books and book chapters, and I edit legal publications. I have speaking engagements, typically 3 to 6 times per month. I have one tonight. And I had one last
Where are
Wednesday.
you speaking tonight, Lisa?
I'm speaking tonight for the Social Law Library, which is Boston, Massachusetts, really New England's finest law library. It's a highly scholarly library, and they do amazing academic and scholarly presentations. So tonight's presentation is called, you'll love it because of your career. You're going to love this one. And you're welcome. Let me know afterwards. I'll get you, like, send me an email. I'll get you a link so you can come watch.
Okay,
Um, you're going to love this one. It's called, well, you've heard of the saying, buy low, sell high.
sure.
So this seminar is called Buy Low, Sell High, Marry High, Divorce Low. So, yes, so this is about how the volatile economy that we've been in for about a year now has impacted divorce settlement and how assets have changed in value, and how do people settle their divorces in a financial environment like the one that we're living in. And so that's the topic. And we have a wealth management company presenting, as well as two lawyers and a judge. And it's going to be very much a question answer roundtable. Uh, this can be a conversation about how we settle divorces in a shifting economy where the things that we once held true about certain asset types and classes is no longer necessarily true. And we have to figure out creative ways to resolve divorce so that both spouses are financially okay in the future while we don't really know what the future looks like.
When did you feel as a trustee or a conservator uh, that your job and your experience really started to open some vision, some learning about leadership and about empathy? Which one of your roles teaches you about leadership? Which one more about empathy?
Um, so, uh, you know, it's interesting, both. You're spot on.
Like I
What
said, a trustee is someone who is in charge based on written agreement. A conservator is somebody who's appointed by the courts.
Of course,
So
yeah.
you're doing similar things in terms
Yeah.
of controlling assets, but you have different dispositions.
Yes, yes. So I serve as both trustee and conservator and guardian for people. Sometimes I'll serve as power of attorney or healthcare proxy, but I prefer to have a document like a trust or a court order, such as guardianship and
To
conservatorship.
give you
In
direction.
all of these, they require both leadership and empathy. And I'll
Yeah.
give an example of each. So for leadership, I had one client matter where a older person was being influenced by, he was single and he was being influenced by a younger woman. And he was giving away a lot of his money and purchasing exorbitant items, including real estate for her. And it was very challenging for the family. And they asked me to come on board as trustee. And I met with him. He's a very high profile person in the world. And I met with him and uh, it took a while, but I had to interview with him and convince him that I'd be the person who could help restore his relationship with his family, because his family and he were really doing poorly as a result of this influencer,
Sure.
the
Sure.
interloper.
Right.
So ultimately I got involved, but everybody, the family members, and there was house staff. He was a person of significant wealth and significant career and reputation. There were many advisors, there were lawyers, there were tax accountants, there was house staff, there were bookkeepers, there were lots of people involved, and nobody knew really what to do. And so they needed my leadership. He needed my empathy. And so there was one day that I had to tell him he was no longer going to be driving. He wasn't safe anymore to drive.
Oh,
He had Alzheimer's, and
sure.
it just got to the point where I just had to keep him safe. So I should mention, when I'm conservator or trustee, I take it really seriously. I'm a concierge type of trustee. I'm not just administering money. In fact, I'm not investing it. I have somebody else do that. I have somebody who's a financial expert do the
Sure.
investment. That's not my skill. So
Sure.
I always have, whether it's a wealth manager, a financial advisor, a family office, whoever it is, somebody else is custodian and has the wealth and
An
is funding.
insurance expert.
Or an insurance expert. I always go out. I don't do any of that myself. I always have an expert. That's not my forte.
Good.
Um, so I always do, absolutely. And so in this particular situation, all the professionals were looking to me, and I could hear their silent words saying, do something, what are we going to do? Like, he insists on
Uh,
getting in the car and driving, and he's at risk. And so I had to sit with him and explain to him that he wasn't going to be driving anymore. And I was nervous about it, but I figured, all right, this is what I do. I'm the person who has the difficult conversations. That's my job. So I
exactly.
sat with him and I told him, and the way that I portrayed it was, I said, look, I said, you've worked so hard. You've done so much driving. I said, you are at an age and stature now and a level of wealth where you should not be behind the wheel anymore. You should have a chauffeur. I said, I'm going to interview people for you. I'm going to get you the highest class chauffeur, and you should be in the back seat, sitting and doing what you do best, but you should not be driving. He got very angry with me at first, and I was like, oh, shoot, he's really angry with me. But then he calmed down and he said, okay, but I want to see resumes. I was like, all right, whatever. You want to see resumes for drivers? I'll get you resumes. He's like, I want Ivy League. I'm like, I'll find you somebody good. Um,
You felt obligated to be the fiduciary in that regard, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I did get him a driver. He insisted on sitting in the front passenger seat, and then he would start touching the dials in the front. I was like, oh no, you don't. So but anyway, so that's part of what I do, is just finding solutions. During the pandemic, I made sure that people had one of my clients, I felt that he needed a Passover plate, a Seder plate, for Pesach,
Sure.
outside of his door. So I
Sure.
made sure to do that. I've had birthday parties during the pandemic and afterwards for my clients. I've sent cupcakes and balloons at birthdays, or whatever the client needs. It's not just a driver. I have accompanied clients sometimes to parties. So with many of my clients who are significant people in the world, they don't want the world to know that they have a dementia like an
Of
Alzheimer's or
course.
something, and
Of
they want to
course.
participate in their lives. And so they'll ask me to come with them. And I very often, don't bill for that because it's a social thing, but I will go with them and accompany them and make it look good. Whatever needs to happen, I'll make it. Like, I go to theater with clients, I'll go take a walk, go for coffee, go for dinner, attend a party with a client, keep an eye and just make sure everything's okay. And yeah.
You just answered the question that I had, which was going to ask you, which part of your job do you have the most fun doing? And I think you just answered that question. As a concierge administrator or administrator, it seems like you have the freedom to be human, and that's part of the job, is to really connect on a human level with the people that you have to really take care of. And I just think, listen, when I first met you, what came across more than anything was the depth of your caring. You made me feel someone you didn't know, like I wanted to get to know you, and you made me feel like you wanted to get to know me. So I think that's really one of the strengths that you use is your personality and your wisdom, being the attorney that you are and having the reputation that you have. Um, this was a wonderful conversation, and I'm afraid we've used up more than our allotted time. So with that, is there anything that you would like to end with? Anything that you would like to say to sort of bring your portion to a close?
Thank you. I think the only message for anybody out there who's experiencing family strife is that things can get better. They do get better. Have hope and go to the right advisors for whatever you need.
Well, Lisa, thank you for joining me today and for sharing these very thoughtful insights into the world of family, wealth, and legacy, where they all intersect. You've given our listeners a very clear or a clearer understanding of how to protect what matters most, both financially, emotionally, and I think that you've represented who the person is to go to in case people have those kinds of situations that they need attending to. And to our audience, thank you for turning into Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth. Make sure you follow and subscribe us wherever you listen to so that you will never miss future episodes of experts, helping strengthen your business and your financial future. Lisa, thank you so much. I'll be looking for that link for tonight's
Okay.
for your talk tonight. I'd be interested. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you for having me. It's really been a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, Lisa, I think, from here, Adrian is going to tighten up, whatever she needs to tighten up. I feel like it went well. You were wonderful.
Thank you.
And I hope you can use this to your benefit in marketing and sort of plant it on Rubin Rudman's website. It'll come back really well done. And I'm interested in your feedback.
Thank you. I had a great time. I think it's good to go.
This was good for you?
Yes, very good. Very good. I never redo. Like I'm a believer that first time is a charm. Don't redo it. It's perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. I'll be in touch.